yeah, she gets cornered,
Blah
and
blah
that
blah.
like restrains Jetstorm, and then restrains Thrust, and then
She pulls Thrust away, sets up a trap so that he's caught in the web, so he doesn't have a choice. And she tosses the planches at him.
the planches
Right?
at him all over his
I
chest.
was surprised. Just planches all over his chest.
Too much energy.
Is one of them a squid?
Cheetor, what have you done?
Blah 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 blah, Beast Wars once and for all.
It's like throw her into the compactor. Well, you don't need this anymore.
Why do you always talk to yourself?
I simply have a penchant for intelligent conversation.
Yeah,
Say Galavar! No! Say Galavar! No!
No, not that.
Greetings, Sigma Ballers. Welcome to episode 63 of Too Much Energon, the Lasercomb podcast where we talk about Beast Wars shit and talk shit about Beast Wars. I am your illustrious co-host, Christopher Siege.
I'm your other host. I'm your other I'm your other ghost, NeoCal.
The ghost with the most, and the host with the most, and the toast with the toast. And if we don't get no rolls, if we don't get no tolls, then we don't eat no rolls.
Holy shit.
Mind blown here. Yeah, this is welcome back to Too Much Energon. It's episode 63. I'm gonna kind of address a bit of an elephant in the room, which if you're listening to this episode or this show rather on a week-to-week basis, you may have taken notice of. But if you're listening to this in the far off future, it's not going to mean jack shit to you. But regardless, I'm going to point it out. There was no episode last week. And this episode 63 was originally supposed to have been recorded and dropped last week. But, well, I fell horribly ill. In fact, I was ill off and on for at least 2 weeks. And it just kept coming and going in waves. And probably last Wednesday to last Saturday was when it was at its worst. But I'm back on track now. I've recharged my Energon reserves. I've drunk some of that weird organic goo from Cybertron's core that rejuvenates
May or may
life.
not have helped. Nobody knows.
It may or may not have helped. Nobody knows. But the point is, we're back. And so, humblest apologies that we missed a week of Too Much Energon. You probably, honestly, like listeners, you probably don't care. But it bothers me, damn it.
You're not allowed to miss a week. God damn it.
It bothers me, god damn it. But what I will say is 62 episodes weekly without missing a beat. Like, that's quite a run.
We did it. We used one sick day.
Yeah, we use one sick day. You get 5 a year.
Yeah.
We didn't use any the first year, and on to year 2 of Too Much Energon, we've only used one. So now, do we get 5 apiece or 5 shared?
5 shared.
5 shared. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
And this reminds me of a stupid Dilbert comic that I saw a decade ago.
wow.
I can't remember the characters, but the short one with the bald one with the glasses.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I just realized that Dilbert, like there's their woman friend who wears like the red blazer and she's got the curly hair. I just realized there's a Seinfeld vibe there with those three.
Yeah. And Dilbert's been around since like the 90s sometime. Yeah. So Seinfeld was already.
But the joke was, I can't remember why, but somebody revealed to him that you can't trade sick days with other people. And he was like, what? No,
Blasphemy.
say it ain't so. Yeah. And they reset every year. What? No, this isn't true. And Dilbert's like, yeah, I'm sorry, man. People have been taking advantage of you. And he's like, no, like a fly, like rolling around. And he's just like not making any sounds. Oh, maybe it was the cartoon.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's a scene from the cartoon, and he couldn't take an extended like paid vacation because he thought he had like 100 other people's sick days like
Wow.
banked. And when they revealed the information to him, he like fell on the ground and was like, no, and just kind of like self-destructed. I don't know why. Reminded me of that.
I have a colleague who I'm not going to mention by name, but he's kind of rotundo.
They know who they are.
They know who they are, and they are totally listening to this show right now. So, yes, co-worker of mine, I think you're rotundo.
Deal with it.
Deal with it.
They didn't
Sigma
make
ball,
you fully
Sigma balls,
functional.
Gary. No, he this was, I think, like maybe last year or the year before. He asked our boss, and my boss mentioned this to me. He asked if he asked if I think it was, he's like, oh, do sick days roll over year, basically, because he had one sick, this was in like December or something, and he had one sick day left, and it resets in January, the beginning of the next calendar year. And so my boss told him, no, it just resets. They don't roll over. The guy fucking called in sick the next day.
You know what? Chad move. I not gonna. Yeah, I'd do the same thing.
And the reason why I found out about this too was because I mentioned to my boss, I'm like, oh yeah, blah blah called in sick, and he just like kind of like shakes his head and rolls his eyes, and I'm like, oh what? And then he explained the story to me.
Amazing. What a Chad move. Fuck yeah. They work differently at my old workplace. You could only hold up to 6 maximum, but the way they would accrue if you had less than 6 was every paycheck you got half a sick day. So roughly 1 sick day every month, and
Weird.
you could bank up to 6.
That's...
We got that instead of like a 2% raise or 1% raise or something. I voted for the raise, not sick days. Right?
Yeah.
But
makes more sense. You're gonna benefit more in the short term and the long term from a raise than just having like bankable sick days,
especially if you don't take that many sick days.
Exactly,
but now that there are sick days, I'm gonna take advantage of them because they cap at 6.
Yeah, why not?
Right, so it'd be like a weekend or whatever, like a month or so away or whatever, and I'm like, hey, I'm doing this and need to go to the hospital, blah blah blah. They don't need to know the details, and I'm like, I'm going to use sick days for like this and this, and they're like, that's not how you're supposed to use sick days. It's for when you're sick. And I'm like, yeah, mental health. Are you going to fight me on this? No, they did not.
Sick days can also be used as personal days.
Yeah. Oh, our workplace was like weird about it, but you should just be able to use it as a personal day.
Yeah, most workplaces don't like it if you are like, yeah, I'm taking a personal day. But if you have like, say, like you have 5 sick days in a calendar year, you can just call up and say, I'm taking a personal day. Most of them won't like it, but they still have to give it to you.
Right. Yeah. And I would just like use them and accumulate them. And whenever I was at 5, make sure I don't like cap. And it's like, well, that's the culture. You guys chose work sick days instead of like a pay increase. So
yeah. So like I've actually done department scheduling and management of labor costs and whatnot. So that's how I found out about things like that. Yeah. Yes, during my 1 year stint where I like kind of fell upward into managing a grocery department
The
of a
horror,
store.
the nightmares.
Well, it's I took this job as like just like a supervisor, and they were so short staffed. They had very little staff because the company was having financial problems. And lo and behold, they're not around now. But the grocery manager, after like a month of me being there, up and quit out of nowhere. And so the store manager was like, and the the higher ups in the company were like, "Okay, well you're taking over." And I'm like,
Enjoy.
"Hey, enjoy." I'm like, "Okay, like am I going to be the actual grocery manager?" They're like, "No, you're going to be the acting grocery manager. So you're going to do all of these things, but we're still only going to pay you $15 an hour." And I'm like, okay. And I dealt with that for close to a year, and then I ended up quitting because after having a carrot dangled in front of me for
I hate that
several
shit.
months of being like, oh, you just, and it was a constantly like moving goalpost too. They're like,
Oh, they take advantage of you,
oh, you
for
just
sure.
need to like hit these goals and like do this and this, and then we'll know that you're our guy, and we'll give you, officially promote you and give you the position. And every time I would achieve the goal that they set forth, they're like, well, we still need you to do this and this, and like it kept moving, and then eventually they were like, so we've hired a grocery manager, and he's going to be starting on Tuesday morning, and we'd like you to get him trained up on how to run everything.
After
And
not paying you for how long?
like nearly a year. And
The audacity.
and they're like, and the one of the like big wigs at the company was like, so I thought this might be a blow to you, so why don't you take the rest of the day off? And this was like, my shift was ending in like an hour and a half. He's like, why don't you take the rest of the day off with pay, and just to let things settle. I'm like, do me one better. I will take the rest of today off with pay, and tomorrow I'm not coming in, and I still expect to be paid for it. And they're like, okay, done. And so I did that. And then on Monday morning, I sent them a very scathing email, basically being like, you know what? Fuck you guys. You,
Fuck all y'all.
yeah. I was very professional,
Pieces of
but
shit.
it was professional. There was no like inflammatory language, but it was very
Right.
sternly worded. Me saying like, "Oh, so I like feel like you took advantage of me, and constantly like never ending like moving goalpost, and like promises of like actually like attaining this position, and the fact that you like went behind my back and hired someone else feels like a betrayal, and I feel like you're grossly underestimating my abilities, especially after you've been taking advantage of me for so long, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not even giving notice, I'm just not coming back." And I never did. It was especially like pissed me off too, because the guy
And
that
you
they
have to hire them or train them.
yeah.
Man, yeah, right. Sigma balls.
Sigma balls, Gary. Yeah, and the guy that they hired too had less experience than me.
I don't understand that logic.
He
Is it like,
here,
oh, well, here's a person that like
he's
we can
older.
exploit?
Here's the thing, he was older. I was in my early 30s at this point. This guy was like 50. And his only like grocery experience was he was a dairy supervisor for like 5 years, like at Thrifty Foods, like 15 years ago. I'm like, I already have more grocery experience than this guy, and more current grocery experience. And
Recent, yeah.
I've been doing this exact job for the past year. Like, so what the fuck, guys?
I don't get that either. I've
But
been in that position before too, and
I ended up hearing that he lost his job because he physically assaulted one of his uh one of his grocery people. He like grabbed them by the neck or something. So he lost his job and then the company went under. So fuck him and fuck that company too.
Agreed.
Anyway, people, this is episode 63 of Too Much Energon, and this week we are talking about the 12th episode of Beast Machines, The Catalyst. It originally aired on December 11th, 1999. So tonight we're gonna party like it's 1999.
December 11th. Oh,
Right.
It's a Christmas episode.
If only.
Yeah, sure. No, it is not.
No, it's not. So speaking of partying like it's 1999, the episode opens up with the Gary Primal essentially like holding a memorial service for Rhinox,
Yeah.
which is, I mean, it's kind of sweet. Like they think Tankor is dead and they're mourning their old
Right, I
friend.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
They're like, even though Tankor was an enemy, we're remembering the memory of Rhinox.
Even though Rhinox ended up getting a like metallic tank body and turned into a real fucking dick, that Rhinox was still a good guy when he was still into smelling the flowers and whatnot.
Yeah, he's yeah. We're remembering the good times.
And I mean, indeed, that's the version of Rhinox I would like to remember. Not necessarily this evil version.
Me too, man.
So yeah, they're holding a memorial service. Gary Primal and the Maximals. Gary's giving a like eulogy, and he plants like a seed or something, and then pours some of that organic goop, the planet jizz or whatever it is. I don't know. On top of it, and he's like, we dedicate this like tree growth to the memory of our old friend.
Yeah, I guess it's like that's what Rhinox would have wanted, right?
It is what Rhinox would have wanted.
Yeah.
But I find this whole like organic goop really weird. Like,
is it? Yeah, sometimes it's bad, but sometimes it's good. Like it made the seeds that made them go all apeshit.
Yeah. But now it's, and wasn't it like making things grow too much? Too much
Plant life.
To the point that like it was like fucking them up. Like, I don't know. I don't remember. Anyway, I find the like plant jizz really. That's what I'm just gonna call it from now on. The plant.
That's
jizz.
What it is. Prove us otherwise.
Prove us wrong. Send an email to toomuchenergon@outlook.com if you think we're wrong.
It's the planet's goo, right?
Yeah, it's much more technical.
Yeah, planet goo.
So
you want to be technical about it.
So speaking of Rhinox, somehow Tankor is using a crystal ball of his own, just like Megatron used to on planet Energon, and is spying on them.
I'm glad that you noticed.
He's spying on them on an iPad, and he says something like evil villain, like, and is like, oh, well, don't mourn too long, old Gary, because I'm about to roll in and put my boot up your ass, and then shotgun a beer, just like old times.
Yeah. So I figured, like, what, he got Guilty Spark to like install cameras everywhere or something, because
perhaps. I don't know.
Because he's even switching as if he's switching cameras to the Maximals. He's switching over to he just got cameras everywhere.
Yeah,
I guess.
I mean, it makes more sense here on planet Megatron than it did on planet Energon.
Doesn't make sense on planet Energon, but it kind of makes sense here. Maybe there's cameras, maybe he's got drones that installed them. Maybe Guilty Spark did it when they were in the caves.
Yeah.
But he's got his crystal ball now.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
So he's flipping back, yeah, like you mentioned, he's flipping back and forth between Gary and the Maximals and old Megatron. Old Megatron in his what did we call it? His
the Megadome?
His Megadome. Right.
Megadome.
Right. Yeah, his Megadome. And Megatron is talking to his two remaining Viacon generals and like asks them like, oh, like what's going on with tell me about Tankor.
Give me the deets.
And Thrust like comically is like good guy, kind of dumb, basically.
Yeah, good guy, but kind of dumb, kind of dull, or whatever he said.
Yeah, kind of thick.
And
like
what
that.
is the other? What does
Jetstorm?
Jetty Boy do? Yeah, I don't know. He said he talked some shit about him.
Yeah, he talks some shit about him.
We'll be better off without him. Can I have his tank drones?
Yeah.
Can I have his toys?
Oh yeah. He's like something like, oh yeah, he'll be sorely missed, but now that he's gone, can I have his tank drones? I like this weird like Shatner thing that Jetstorm has going on sometimes.
You know what? Have we pointed that out?
No, we haven't. Because
it seems so obvious in hindsight now. It's like a charismatic, what is it? It's like a Shatner plus
yeah, I don't know. Shatner plus
some energetic game show host or something. A drama kid in like, university, yeah.
Shatner plus Pat Sajak from Wheel of Fortune.
There we go.
Or the dude from Family Feud. One of the dudes from Family Feud.
Yeah, one of the dudes from Family Feud. The one with the mustache. Wait a second.
So yeah. So Megatron is like, no, I mean, like, tell me more about the circumstances that led to his demise. Like, what was he getting up to? So Megatron being the smart cookie that he is already kind of suspicious.
A little suspicious
about the way Tank Knox had been acting.
He's sus. Yeah, just a bit. And
yeah, he is not the fool.
Is this where Guilty Spark like says some damning stuff and Rhinox is like talking through him or like feeding him lines?
Yes. So Guilty Spark shows up and is like, Your Eminence, I have completed my scans of whatever. And he points out that Tankor had made although dead, had made a fascinating discovery.
Interesting that they revealed this information. You know when somebody's lying and they reveal more information than they would have if they weren't lying?
Right.
It's like that whole, I actually saw this joke earlier today when someone's like, oh yeah, oh blah blah blah, like I like girls with big boobs and this or that, and in the 40-year-old virgin they kind of like turn to him, oh, what are you, man? Are you an ass man or a boob man? And he's like, oh, I like boobs. Well, what do you like about them, man? You like them big, blah blah blah. And he's like, when you grab them and they're like bags of sand.
Right.
Like sometimes talking too much about something that you don't know reveals something. Which
is kind of awkward, really, because it's like you can be a virgin and still be into boobs and butts and whatnot. Like you don't need to have actually had sex to be into those things.
Absolutely not. Some people fap over just cartoons, just hentai.
Some people do, or pictures of fan art, if you will, of that's not where I'm going with this, but I found some fan art a little while ago of Beast Wars seasons 1 and 2 Blackarachnia embracing Transformers animated Blackarachnia. And gotta say,
Wait, what?
generally not one for fap into cartoons, but that picture
You better share this with me, you son of a bitch.
that picture did something for me. Is
It
all I'm gonna
stirred
say.
something inside of you.
It awoke a part of me that I heretofore was unaware existed.
Which is
Within.
a really especially weird like fetish or kink waking up, because Christopher Siege hates spiders. By
I
the
do
way,
hate
listeners.
spiders.
So it's kind of like that disgust but attraction thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I don't know what I get, but I get it. Yeah, so he's kind of
I
on
don't
to
know why
him.
I find that your reaction there funny. Yep, I get it.
Yeah. I'd say no more, fam. As long as you share what you found with me,
I
then
think
you're
I
off
had.
the.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I posted it in the Discord months ago, but I'll try and track it down
Okay,
again.
thanks. I was like, what? I missed it.
Yeah, so
oh, I think he accidentally let slip a line.
he does.
Like
So what happens?
Rhinox forgets to cut the mic, and he just starts scheming out loud.
So what happens here is Guilty Spark, Rhinox is talking through him. Or he's feeding him lines and he's parroting them.
Yeah.
So Guilty Spark mentions that Tankor had discovered the legendary key to Vector Sigma, and he explains what it can do, which if you've been following the show and following the podcast, you'll already know. But to quickly recap, the key to Vector Sigma can turn organic matter into transformer mechanical matter.
Yeah, organic into that weird
technomatter.
Cybernetic technomatter is
technomatter,
right?
Yeah, that's the word they use.
Yeah.
So that's what the key to Vector Sigma does. And Megatron notes, he's like, huh, that's weirdly ambitious for such a simple-minded Viacon.
Yeah, and that's what I meant about oversharing or lying or whatever. It's like, why are they even telling him this?
Well, this is Tank Knox's plan. There's a very calculated reason why he's sharing all this with Megatron. Is because he's trying to manipulate Megatron into helping him, essentially. So he has Guilty Spark share the details about the key to Vector Sigma, and he's like, oh, you can use it to destroy the Maximals and get rid of all organic life on Cybertron. And I will begin very enthusiastically. He's like, I will begin outfitting all of the Viacons with it at once. And Megatron's like, hold up, motherfucker. What is this shit going to do to my beast mode? And this...
Right.
Yeah, this is where... Guilty Spark is like, oh, well, it will completely get rid of it. And... this is the part where Tank Knox continues on saying oh, and you'll go mad and be completely obliterated and whatnot. And then Guilty Spark starts speaking that, and Rhinox is like, wait, shut the fuck up, he wasn't supposed to hear that part.
What the fuck? No, that's my evil speech. Shut up. And yes, and then you'll go mad, madly happy with and he fumbles his words, and Megatron kind of looks at him because this is a bot. Why is he right? Why
this
is he
thing has way too much personality for
to not have a spark.
To not have a spark. So I like Guilty Spark. The diagnostic drone, his actual name. I like the character of the diagnostic drone quite a bit, but it's
It has way
not.
too much
It
personality
has
to
way too
be the
much
same as all the Viacon drones,
Yeah.
which literally don't even talk.
Yeah. It has way too much personality to not have a spark, which is kind of a writing flaw in my opinion with this show.
That
But
would be interesting if they revealed that he does have a spark and he's been tricked into thinking that he's just a drone.
yeah,
But I'm guessing that's never addressed.
no, probably not.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it early on in this series, like it makes sense. Like the whole purpose of this character is because you need to have Megatron, who spends the entire series, as of thus far, spends the entire series hanging out in his Megadome. So like you need a character like this to give him someone to talk to, so he's not just monologuing all the time.
And they got away with him monologuing all the time in Beast Wars. But he also had a whole base full of Predacons that he could order around as
Yeah,
well.
he had cronies around to share scenes with. But in this
So
show,
in the scenes where he monologued, it was funny or humorous or letting the viewer know that enlightening the viewer as to Megatron's real plans. But yeah, it would just be weird if he was by himself.
yeah. So like, so anyway, so I get it, but it's just he, like I said, he has too much personality to just be a mindless drone.
Definitely agreed.
So because Megatron is skeptical of this, he's like, okay, so we're gonna test this out. Let's put the key onto some of these drones, and you and the Viacon generals go out, look for some Maximals, and test it on them.
Yeah, and is this where he shows him the footage of Tankanox dying?
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
dying in quotes.
Air quotes.
As
dying.
like proof. It was like, oh, it was too much for his internal processes to handle. Too much Sigma laser. That's what we'll change our name to. Too much Sigma.
Too much smegma.
Oh, never say that again. Don't like this. There's a lot of words that I don't care. I don't associate with anything, but like the way that word sounds is what's it called when like a word sounds like how it's said?
An onomatopoeia.
I get the way that word is said feels gross too, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I pretend it doesn't exist.
Fair enough.
That's just me, man. What's happening here?
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah. So the proof of his death, and they've got like footage of him overheating or whatever.
Megatron gets skeptical of the way Guilty Spark is acting, and he like grabs him and he's like, something seems different about you, dude. Like you haven't been the same. And he's like, well, but I assure you I am operating at peak capacity, my lord, your eminence.
Your eminence, please, you have to believe me. I pinky swears it.
Yep. I pinky
and he's like,
swears. Yeah.
That's weird. I didn't build you with a pinky. And so obviously the gig is up, but he's pretending that he doesn't know.
Yeah, Megatron knows what's up at this point, or he has a pretty sneaking suspicion,
or he's sus. Yeah,
Megatron's a lot of things. He's not dumb.
Yeah, they write him well. Yeah, he's many things. He's not dumb.
So he sends He sends Guilty Spark and the Viacon generals off with a handful of drones with the key to Vector Sigma to track down the Maximals and test it on them. Speaking of the Maximals, we cut to Rattrap doing some science with some of the plant
Yeah.
jizz.
He's doing a science up.
And he's experimenting with this plant jizz, and then he finds
On like a computer console, he's like breaking down he's doing science shit.
He's doing science shit, but he finds like an algorithm or something that makes the plant jizz like grow faster, which I find kind of weird because it's like, okay, so why does like a computer shell program or whatever? And we find out, spoilers, but we find out at the end of the episode that it was something that it was a plant by Tank Knox.
So Tank Knox hid
a plant.
The
unintentional pun.
Those are my favorite, and the only puns allowed. I often accidentally pun, and someone else will make a joke, and I'll be like, "What?" And they're like, "Oh, your pun about this," and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I definitely meant that."
Yeah, I definitely meant to say that.
So the information that makes the plant matter, or sorry, the goo hyper accelerate the growth of plants, was put in what basically Tank Knox wanted them to find it.
Yeah, but what I find bizarre is why would this algorithm or shell program or whatever that he planted on this computer, why would that influence this organic matter, this plant goo?
Okay, so I was going to ask you about that. What's he doing on the computer, hacking into the matrix? He's getting energy signatures or something where he can affect the liquid and make it hyper accelerate.
Yeah, I think he was running simulations, but
Makes sense.
I've watched this episode twice now.
I still don't know why.
I don't have a clear answer. I don't think the show really.
He can hack the planet fluid. What are we calling it?
The plant jizz.
Yeah, sure. He can hack it. And this is where else I had a question. So Blackarachnia thinks that the vial that he has can restore the Viacons. Did I miss something? Was I checking my phone? Because Blackarachnia shows up and tries to steal the canister from him.
I smell a rat. I was fully expecting him to say, and it ain't me this time.
Well, that would have been a very Rattrap line.
But he didn't, no. So yeah, Blackarachnia shows up and she's like, she tries to steal it and Rattrap doesn't let her. But she's like, I need it to save Silverbolt. And he's like, what? Basically. And so
how did she draw the conclusion that will save him?
Okay, so the show doesn't really explain it, but remember when Batboy got hit with the key to Vector Sigma and started turning into technomatter?
Yes.
They cured that by plant bukakiing him, essentially.
With the fluid, the biofluid.
Yeah. So I suspect that Blackarachnia is like, okay, so if the plant goo can reverse can cure the technomatter infection, maybe it can bring out the bestial spark from within the purely mechanical Viacon generals. The show doesn't explain it.
No, that's...
But that's...
If they had just addressed it right here, just spent 5 seconds being like, I need to see if I can turn him back with this.
Yeah, because she sounds very sure of herself that it's going to work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like I said, the show doesn't explain it, but that was my takeaway from it.
She thinks that it's going to turn him back. Doesn't explain her leaps of logic, but what you said makes sense.
Yeah.
And what's going on here?
So so Rattrap, like, so she explains to Rattrap like that she wants to do this and that she is completely sure of the fact that Silverbolt's spark is within thrust. And Rattrap's like, man,
and the
okay.
fluid will reawaken him.
Yeah. And Rattrap goes along with it.
Which is
I get
for
it.
him. There's a
Yeah.
lot of Rattrap development in Beast Machines. I'd argue actually a lot more than in Beast Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get
like
it.
his
It's like,
relationship with the others.
I think the MVPs of this show have been Rattrap and Cheetor so far.
But the others the others still have good character development.
Oh, that's not to say that the other characters in the show
Yeah.
are bad, other than, Batboy, whom I don't particularly like.
He had like an arc that was like one episode, and he like 180'd his opinion. He found a bat skeleton, and he's like, my God. He went from being,
what have I become?
Yeah, and he went from being like, I'm an independent, like, strong boy. I don't need no one to. I need to be a team player from now on. That was artificial. That felt bad. But the others all have very genuine feeling character progression arcs.
Yeah, totally.
So far.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Cheetor and Rattrap change the most and take the cake.
Mm-hmm. So he agrees to like hand over the vial, and what he or actually we'll get there in a minute, because it's explained in not too long like why he's running these simulations, because he's essentially like planning to make plant grenades. It's basically what they are.
Plant grenades.
Yeah, well, we'll get there in a minute.
Oh, right.
So the
plant grenades.
Yeah, plant grenades.
I can't wait. So yeah, we cut to the two remaining Vehicon generals, and what's the actual Guilty Spark's name? Sentinel.
The diagnostic drone.
That doesn't roll off the tongue. Diagnostic drone. And for some reason, why is he with them?
Well,
like, he's been going out more lately, and it's like, dude, you're just a little floaty drone.
Well, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, Megatron sent him and the generals and a handful of Vehicon drones equipped with the key to Vector Sigma to track down the Maximals and test it on them. And he sent
see what the results are. Yeah,
he sent Guilty Spark because Guilty Spark is the only one who knows anything about this.
Right.
He's the one who brought the information to Megatron, although conceivably in the kind of world where you can just like upload and download information, he could just take that in, download everything Guilty Spark knows, and upload it into, like, say, Thrust or...
See, that's what I was wondering. He's a drone, and he was reprogrammed by Tank Knox, as we saw in the previous episode.
Yep.
So if you could reprogram them, can you just treat it like a computer and just, like, transfer the memory of this thing into Thrust or Jetstorm?
Yep. What's this? Encrypted code. Who did that?
And
filthy organic.
Or there's a bigger game that Megatron's playing here.
Yes. Spoilers, there definitely is.
Okay.
And I think he's also, like, he's on to Guilty Spark at this point, and, like, I think he's just testing him. To see what he does.
And that's very Megatron-like.
It is, yeah.
So what happens? They find Blackarachnia, right? Or they're searching for
they're
Maximals.
they're searching for Maximals, and so Jetstorm is like complaining that they need to keep looking, and Guilty Spark is like, oh, but I'm sure there's a Maximal signature very nearby. And Jetstorm's like, well, where is it then, buddy? And why am I not detecting it? And then his internal computer is like, maximal energy signature detected. And Guilty Spark very comically is like, wait, what?
Because he was just bullshitting.
Yeah, he was bullshitting.
I actually liked some of the writing in this episode.
So he's like, what?
But that's just one. We should go try it on like a bunch of them. We don't want to chase this one, right? And he's trying to like pull them away from chasing after Blackarachnia.
Yeah. And here is where I'm not entirely sure what his plan is.
Yeah, it was like, why does he not want them? I didn't know. I don't know what his plan was.
I think what Rhinox wants is, well, for one, like Megatron was concerned about like what the key to Vector Sigma would do to his beast mode. So right. I think Rhinox, and so like if they go and use it on say Blackarachnia, we're gonna find out that it like completely fries her.
Right.
And Rhinox is trying to manipulate things into a way where they just like unleash it on the entire planet all in one fell swoop.
Yeah. Oh.
That's what I suspect is going on.
Oh, okay. Wait. I get it. He doesn't want the Maximals destroyed right now.
Not one Maximal in particular, no, because he just wants to like wipe out everyone all at once. Because if Megatron sees that this like completely like destroys like their spark, because that's the thing that he's worried about, is like this is going
what will happen to his beast mode.
What will happen to his beast mode and his spark. So, and Megatron won't go along with continuing to use the key to Vector Sigma if they use it on one Maximal and find out that it just like completely like obliterates them.
And like turns them into a vegetable or something. Because like it or not, he has a beast mode too.
Yeah.
So
try as he might, he can't seem to get rid of it.
Yeah. And we turn back to the Rattrap, and he discovered something in the code.
Yeah.
The code of like what? I don't know what this code's from. Oh, the key. The Sigma keys or something.
Well, it's the code that Tank we find out Tank Knox planted.
But planted in what? What's he analyzing there again?
The
fluid.
The show isn't really clear about what he's
doing. There's information
exactly.
That's planted somewhere, and Rattrap finds it, and he's like, "Hang on!" And basically,
accelerated growth properties.
It accelerates the biomatter.
Well, and that was something that I took issue with earlier. Was like, so what does computer code? How does that influence or purely organic matter? This isn't technorganic matter. This is purely like bio goop.
Or is it?
It is. No, it is.
I don't know, man.
So
Rattrap hacks there's a watering system that we didn't mention. There's a sprinkler system that the Maximal set up to grow their vines. Sure.
Yeah, they're doing some crops and doing some farming, and
they're playing Minecraft. And Rattrap hacks into the machine that's the well. Yeah, it's a well. And applies
he's not hacking it, he's just interfacing with it.
No, sorry, that's what he does with his tail. He interfaces with the machine and presumably introduces this code, a wave, an energy, like electron signature, something like that.
Yeah, he's introducing this code into the like plant watering system that's distributing this like the plant jizz.
And indeed, it explodes everywhere, and we find out that Rattrap has a
A windshield
a
wiper over
windshield
his face
wiper
shield.
just to wipe stuff off, and I'm like, huh, that's cute. And
And
yeah,
vines
it
start
jizzes
growing
everywhere.
like growing bloody murder, like just
Oh, they even grab him.
yeah.
And he's like, hey, talk about the hand biting the hand that waters you, or something like that.
Some stupid line like that.
And the other Maximals show up, and I am transformed, and we enter a comics zone like battle where they fight plants. There's nothing more to say. They use all their powers, including Night Scream's Sonic Blast, and I'm like, why would that do anything against the plants? It makes sense against machines. It makes sense against creatures that can hear. Plants wouldn't give a shit. They wouldn't shatter because you Sonic blasted them. Whatever.
Kinetic force.
Yeah, let's go with that. It rips them apart. And yeah, they fight the plants and they free Rattrap.
Yep.
And he puts something on his tail when he lands, and he says a recalibrated pulse might be able to neutralize the growth, the chemical reaction. So there's a chemical reaction that he introduced by shocking them or whatever. And when he adds this little, when he adds this little module, like he very quickly realizes, hey, wait a second. He touches the fluid, and it resonates all throughout the plants, and they stop growing.
Yeah.
So he has the power to give and take life now, I guess, with his tail.
We briefly cut back to the Viacons like actually discovering where Blackarachnia is, and then the very brief scene, and then we cut back to the Maximals talking about what just happened, and once again Gary Primal and Cheetor have different ideas about what they want to do. So Rattrap, they fill Gary in on the fact that Blackarachnia is gone, and Rattrap's like, yeah, that's my fault. Like I gave her some of the plant jizz because she needed it because she thinks Thrust is Silverbolt. And Cheetor is like, we should use some of these new plant bombs that Rattrap has developed.
Right.
The Rattrap has developed these like plant grenades that like when they throw them, they explode and like envelop.
They grow and they get you.
They grow and they get you. That's a good way to put it. And Gary is like, no,
excuse me,
this isn't the way that the Oracle wants plant life on Cybertron used. And Cheetor is like, who fucking cares? This gives us an advantage.
And he's like, yeah, now he's coming down, and he's like, you shouldn't have given that vial to Blackarachnia. You guys need to stay here. You guys need to stop being little shits. I'm going to go and get Blackarachnia.
Yeah.
And fix this mess.
Yeah, go clean up this mess.
For the first time in a long time, I'm with him. There's too many factors going on at once here. Like, why did they let her go alone? It's too much. It's too much, man. And yeah, I'm with him on that. Like, hey, calm down. We're just messing with the goo now. Let's not like immediately jump to conclusions and go nuts. And indeed, we see that when they inevitably don't listen to him, shit goes bad.
Shit goes bad. The Viacons capture Blackarachnia briefly,
right.
But then she flees and she gets cornered.
And she purposefully, she cyber venoms Jetstorm. So this does exactly what she thought it would do.
Exactly.
And immediately, exactly, with no evidence supporting it would.
She's like, Silverbolt, is that you?
I was so shocked, bro. I'm not even kidding.
I remembered who Thrust actually was, but I still like kind of clapped and laughed. No
true.
doggy bot in here.
It's your one and only favorite, Waspinator.
And
And wow, I was
immediately,
shocked.
immediately, she's just like, "I've done all of this shit for you."
Like literally,
What?
great acting on that voice actor's behalf and
Yeah.
the animators. It's just like a girl that like made out with someone in the dark that thought that was their boyfriend. And it's like the grossest kid in class.
And it turns out it's their cousin or something.
Yeah. And she's like in disbelief that she spent so much time and energy on this.
On fucking Waspinator.
And
she's
he's like,
and
and
she's like,
Waspinator's like, so we're not going steady?
so she asks him, she's like, dude, how the fuck we left you back on planet Energon?
How are you?
Like, how are you here? The explanation is dumb, but still quite funny.
So fucking funny.
So we get like a flashback through his eyes. His eyes have gone all wasp, like honeycomb.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What's it called? Insect eyes are called.
The pattern is a honeycomb pattern. So and we get a like flashback showing
Compound eyes.
There you go. Compound eyes. Today I learned. So we get a visual flashback of what happened with Waspinator narrating his take on it, and
his take
is
the unreliable
completely different.
narrator that he is. So it's doubly humorous because what he's telling Blackarachnia is not what we're seeing because we get to see it.
Yeah. So what he tells her basically is like, Waspinator was loved on planet Energon, and the early humans worshipped me. But Waspinator got bored and missed Cybertron and decided to come home. Humans not want Waspinator to go, but Waspinator left anyway. And we see that they revolted against him.
Basically, he accidentally he was like bored and flicking rocks, and we get a summary of it, but basically he did something enough of things to piss them off that they chased him out.
They chased him away and literally like launched him into the sky on a catapult.
On a palm tree that they bent back, like a cartoon.
Yeah.
And I thought they launched him. Yeah. Like
so
I thought they launched him into space.
Yeah, that's the implication there. And also the implication because Waspinator is like, it took a really long time, but Waspinator made it. He fucking flew back to Cybertron. Into the future, apparently. Well, and presumably
really long time. Was he just flying through space
for 4 million years?
Is that the implication? Until the timeline matched. The implication was that he was by himself drifting in the direction of Cybertron for 4 million years.
Yeah, just
right?
in
Because
beast
no other
in beast mode, like flapping his wasp.
Even though there's no fucking air. Ooh, time for a 1,000-year nap again.
So fucking dumb, but it's so funny.
Canon Waspinator's 4 million years old, I guess. Or he found another way.
I think he just flew in space back to Cybertron for 4 million years.
Or the proto-humans calculated where Cybertron was with their advanced astronomy tools and launched him. Mind blown. I don't even need an answer to that. It's just dumb and funny. It took forever, but way worth it.
I
now,
will say,
Waspinator have girlfriend.
I will say, I've been thoroughly enjoying Beast Machines thus far. I appreciate this levity.
Right. Needs it.
The levity that this brings to the show.
Because there's been so little of it.
There's been
Lately.
so little of it. So the fact that Waspinator flew through fucking space for 4 million years.
I never even thought about that. I assumed that he yada yada'd it, but he was like, "Oh, it took a long time, but I'm here." He found another wormhole or a ship or something, but there were none.
No, he just flew
I I,
for 4 million
I guess
years.
so.
And
Which doesn't
yeah,
make sense because there's no air. There's nothing for him to fly again. Whatever.
hey, that didn't stop Starscream's immortal spark from sailing through space.
Well, that was kind of like he was attracted to planet and whatever. Yeah, life finds a way.
Life finds a way.
And now Waspinator have girlfriend. And what does he say? He's like, now Waspinator cool motorcycle bot. Girls dig the cool loner type. Oh, sorry, brooding loner type.
I think he says chick bots.
Oh, chick bots?
Yeah.
Wow.
Chick bots.
Chick bots dig the brooding loner bot.
Oh, fuck. I
I
missed
love the
Waspinator.
dialogue. 10 out of 10 writing for both of them, for Blackarachnia and Waspinator there.
And she's just in utter disbelief that she's gone through all of this just to wake up fucking
And
Waspinator.
Waspinator's not bad,
No.
right? Like he was just a soldier, as we found out. Like they never really despised Waspinator.
And we mentioned this when we covered the series finale of Beast Wars, but I love the fact that Waspinator eventually was just like, oh no, fuck you, Megatron. Waspinator's sick of being evil.
Yeah, canon.
Yeah. He just got fed up with being a bad guy.
I crit. Yeah, he was done with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
His heart wasn't in it.
Yeah.
You mean I risked everything to save this? Ugh.
Oh god.
That means Spider-Bot not go steady with Waspinator? And she
And then,
screams no. And
Jet-
Jetstorm's here, baby.
Jetstorm is here, back in frame.
If you remember, like 4 episodes of Too Much Energon ago, I was like, wouldn't it make more sense that Silverbolt is Jetstorm? Well,
Right. Yeah. No,
spoilers for 10 seconds from now.
yeah,
Jetstorm is Silverbolt.
yeah, like I said ages ago, like several episodes ago now, like I remembered who all of the Viacon generals were.
Right.
So like I remembered that Jetstorm was Silverbolt and Thrust was Waspinator.
So something weird happens. Jetstorm's like, here's Jetstorm, and he crashes through a window that happens to be there for some reason, and it spooks or startles
for dramatic effect
something. But Blackarachnia, who I thought only had 1 vial, has another because she only got 1 vial from Rattrap, and it flies through the air and of course lands on Jetstorm.
Yeah,
and he kind of like groans and flips up in the air and does a bunch of like pirouettes.
Yeah,
and then it plays his theme song.
Doggybot's back, at least temporarily.
Oh, dark poison of my heart, speak to me, my love.
And she's like, yeah, only one Transformer could say things like that with a straight face.
Only one Transformer could say something as cheesy as that and pull it off with a straight face.
Yeah. That's the line.
That corny or something, yeah.
Yeah.
It is I, my love. And it zooms into his eyes and it shows Silverbolt's face. So there we go. We know who all the Viacon generals are now.
We cut back to the Maximals down in their cave or whatever, the Maximal cave,
and they're cleaning up all the broken veggie bites,
Vegemites,
Vegemites,
all the broken Vegemite.
Yeah. It's disgusting.
I've
I'm
never
like,
had it.
I don't know if I just had bad Vegemite or I don't understand the experience, but I had some from an Australian coworker on like fancy crackers that we had at the hotel. He assured me that it was good. You just need to find something good to spread it on.
Well,
man, I don't know. It wasn't edible.
you need to find a man in Brussels, 6'4" and head full of muscles, and ask him if he speaks your language, and wait
Nope.
until he smiles.
He just
and
smiled.
gives you a Vegemite sandwich. And he said, "I come from a land down under. Do 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 do. Where women glow and men chunder.
Manchanda. Can you hear?
Can't you hear? Can't you hear
that
the thunder? You better run. You better take cover."
And then
Well,
we did.
Well, I know what the song of the week is for
You
this
better
episode.
run. You better do the maximum maneuver.
Oh God!
The video game I'm playing right now, they just did the maximum maneuver, and I'm like, no fucking way. And
are
then
you
later in
playing
the
right now?
game,
I'm
playing House of Ashes.
Oh, I'm not familiar with it.
You know the Dark Pictures anthology, Man of Medan.
Oh,
House.
right. Yeah.
The newest one just came out.
That's the newest one. I've still only played the first one.
It is 9 out of 10. It is shockingly good, man. It is worth full price. And I did not say that about the other ones. The other ones are fun, like couch games. Oh, you're playing this character. Oh, you're playing this character, and you pass the controller and see who lives, right? And it's like an evening, you can beat it, or an after, like
Yeah, I played that first one. It's
hours.
like three or so hours.
So if you're spending time with friends in 2 hangout sessions, you could get to the end and see who lives and pass the controller around, right? You can even assign the names to the different characters, because they'll be like, oh, it's Steve's turn or whatever, right? They're fun. This one, oh man, I'm not going to say anything except that it might be up your alley.
All right.
It is one of the best games I've played in the last 2 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Maybe
I am thoroughly happy.
Maybe I'll pick it up on payday. I've been playing and anyone who follows me on Twitter will probably be seeing that I've been uploading screenshots and videos from Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty lately. I discovered recently that the 20th anniversary is November 13th, and Metal Gear Solid 2 is my favorite Metal Gear game.
20th anniversary of Metal Gear Solid 2?
Yeah, it came out November 13th, 2001, and I'm like,
no. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is well, I at the time of recording, this is early November of 2021. So I'm like, you know what? I haven't replayed. I've literally played through Metal Gear Solid 2 like 40 times in my life. That's no exaggeration.
So you know all the secrets and the quickest pathing and the
generally, although I haven't played through it in probably like a decade, and what I've noticed is I have forgotten a lot of things. But then like things will just
bullets in half.
Things will just like pop all of a sudden, where I'll be like kind of stumped, and like something will pop into my head. I'm like, oh, that's what I need to do.
By the way, anyone listening that's like, oh my god, they're talking about Metal Gear Solid again. Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty.
Yep.
It is the most bananas.
You know what is
easily the most bananas?
You know what is
right?
fucking
Yeah, definitely.
It's a very polarizing installment of the series because the story is bananas. The story is very convoluted. It has a lot of layers to it. There's a lot going on in that game.
And the reveal of the Colonel.
No, you know what is fucking brilliant about that game? And I won't hang on this too long. We'll get back to Beast Machines soon. But what is really fucking brilliant about that game is Hideo Kojima, the creator. Metal Gear Solid it's technically the third installment and in the Metal Gear franchise, and it treats the previous two, the 8-bit games, as canon. Like they directly reference stuff that happens in those games in Metal Gear Solid. But Metal Gear Solid was a big like international runaway success. Kojima was wrestling with how to write a sequel to a game and balancing like how can I create something new while still giving fans what they want, what they enjoyed out of the first game. So he got like super fucking meta about it, and what he did was he wrote a game that is a sequel that quite literally has the protagonist of the game playing a like slightly different like simulated retelling of what happened in the previous game. That is fucking brilliant.
Right.
It's extremely meta, and even when I first played Metal Gear Solid 2 20 years ago, like I loved how just bananas and meta and complex it was, and just how many layers there are to what's going on in that game. And I'm still wowed by it even 20 years later.
I need to give it a run. I just remember the big reveal, and man, fuck it. If it's 20 years old, I can spoil whatever I want.
Yeah.
When like,
as we're talking about a
actually
show from 22 years ago,
the colonel like is revealed that it's not the colonel, and when it gets so crazy,
it's a part of the Patriots AI GW.
That's what it is, right? And that it's a part of this global conglomerate AI that learns what people want. Anybody listening, go listen to that rant. It feels like the writing for that was this year.
Oh yeah. No, they straight up GW starts talking about like media manipulation and like altering public opinion and whatnot.
Yeah, in certain cultures, in certain countries, to sway opinion and votes and culture and shit like that. And I'm like teenager me couldn't comprehend that, but adult me, sometimes I'll just go listen to that speech. But the conversation with the big reveal and Snake, and I'm like,
I definitely got it 20 years ago, but to me it was just like, oh, this is a like sci-fi premise.
Yeah,
but now it's like, I'm like,
no man, this is what's happening.
Like, did Hideo Kojima have a crystal ball of his own? Like,
it's scary listening to it, because you're like, this is what's happening.
Yeah, totally.
And it's being proven that Russian hackers were manipulating Twitter, Facebook, and all this stuff to sway opinion,
it was proven
share
years
misinformation years ago, blah blah blah, on this huge campaign to disrupt all the riots. You think those are by accident? They post far left stuff and far right stuff to get the country to mash its fucking head together and go fucking nuts, and it's working.
Facebook's like AI like algorithm like intentionally like feeding like differing, like very differing opposing like
extremist opinions
to different people, and like just feeding it. Like, it's Metal Gear Solid 2, that game. Like, Metal Gear fans are always like, oh yeah, Metal Gear Solid 3. Metal Gear Solid 3, like, it's a really good game. Metal Gear Solid 3 has an extremely straightforward story.
Hey man, sometimes you want to, fight the pain and shoot them into a bunch of bees. Sometimes you want to get hit by a wheelchair. Sometimes you want to eat a snake. Sometimes you want to eat a tree and eat durian. I understand that. That's fun.
sometimes you're still in a dream.
Or a simulation.
Anyway, I Metal Gear Solid 2 has always been my favorite installment of the sequels anyway. Well, it's my favorite installment overall, but out of all the MGS sequels, it's always been my favorite. And that I think people should go back to it, and with 2021 eyes, go back and
with 2021 vision.
with 2021 vision, and just see how brilliant and ahead of its time that game was.
I will. Plus, it's just fun. It's wacky and fun.
There was a bit where there's a bit in the game
one
where
chick's name Fortune,
yeah,
and the vampire's name is
Vamp.
It's just Vamp. Yeah,
It's just Vamp. Yeah.
Yeah. There's magic and vampires in Metal Gear Solid, by the way.
It's nanomachines. MGS4 explains everything wacky and supernatural that happens as nanomachines.
Yep, that's just how it works.
So I was playing MGS2 the other day, and I swear I'll move on after I mention this, but it's quite funny. So I was playing Metal Gear Solid 2 the other day, and like someone comes into the room, and I'm at there's a bit in the game where playing as the protagonist of the game, Raiden, you have to disguise yourself as a enemy soldier and go and basically like you have to try and find one particular, they have like 30 hostages, and you have to find out which one is actually like a CIA dude.
And you have a sound.
Yeah, you have a directional microphone so you can listen to his pacemaker. So when you actually like find him and start talking to him, a cutscene ensues, and he's like, "Oh, well, how did you find me? Like, how did you know about me?" And someone came into the room when this cutscene came up, and Raiden's response was, and he delivers it perfectly straight, "An informant calling himself Mr. X told me," or I was told by an informant calling himself Mr. X, dressed like a ninja. The line is delivered completely straight, and like the person who came into the room just started laughing, and like it actually like made me like take a step back
To realize
like,
how fucking bananas the game is.
And realize just how like completely like out, like taking that, like that is fucking insanity. But
When
because like I was ingrained in the story, I'm like, oh yeah, an informant calling himself Mr. X, he's dressed like a ninja, he like flipping around and whatnot. But like taking a step back, I'm like, yes, that line, that is absurd.
When you first meet him, he's like, "Oh, I'm great. How does it work?" He goes by 3 names, and he's like, "No, call me Deep Throat." And Raiden's like, "Deep Throat," and he's like, "How about just X?" How does that go?
So what he says is Raiden's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "Just call me Deep Throat." He's like,
Yeah.
"Deep Throat from Shadow Moses, Mr. X then."
That's it. Yeah. From Shadow Moses?
Mr. X then. There's like a slight pause. He's just like, Mr. X then.
I haven't played it in forever, but I remembered that vaguely. Mr. X then.
The game is brilliant. Anyway, so what's going on in this episode? Let's start
Beast machines. Okay, yeah. Let's start wrapping up. They clean up the shit.
This up.
They realize that they're following Cheetor's lead, and Cheetor's like, "You know what? Fuck Gary Primal. Unleash the goo."
Unleash the goo. Apologies, I just realized I got kind of ahead of myself. The growth grenades are the next episode.
Oh yeah, I kept wondering. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And I didn't care. I'm like, okay, they're coming.
Yeah. So apologies to you and anyone listening.
They look like grenades in this episode, though.
Yeah,
because she throws them, and they. Yeah.
The plant grenades are next episode, but So they come like sailing in to save Blackarachnia on this like terrifyingly like
This is
vine. This is weird. And there's a shot when they after they pick her up when the vine is like carrying them away that looks like a fucking warp tunnel from Star Trek. And I'm like, is this
Kind
thing
of.
traveling at warp speed? Like what?
I really like that Blackarachnia stopped Waspinator and Silverbolt from fighting.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, she's
They-
like, fight over me later, boys.
Yeah. And like I said, Waspinator wasn't really bad. So I'm kind of glad it's Waspinator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
I mean, who else
Waspinator's
would it
great.
be? Tiger Hawk.
No, thank God that they're dead. I like how we had on our special TME number
57.
yeah, it was 57, our anniversary episode. The kill Mary fuck, I killed Tiger Hawk, but Tiger Hawk dies anyway in the show. That's how much I dislike them, that I need to bring them back to life to kill them again.
Yeah.
Wow, they animated. They really gave Blackarachnia some hips and some thighs, didn't they?
They did.
I'm
Yeah.
okay with that.
The so they're like sailing away on this like big vine, and a bunch of
The
Viacon
Vine
drones
man is
show up.
crazy.
It is crazy. The Viacon drones show up, all wielding
Are
keys to Vector Sigma. And they just like shoot the vine, and the vine starts like going like turning to like all techno
Is
matter.
Rattrap steering the Vine? I would say yes, right?
Yes, somehow. I don't know how, but
He is the one.
and
And yeah, they say Blackarachnia.
yeah.
And
So
the Vine
the
turns tech
yeah, so the Viacon drones all use their various keys to Vector Sigma.
and the Vine starts turning blue.
Yeah, it starts being converted to techno matter, and it's spreading down the vines, and they're like, oh shit, if it completely like spread, like this can spread to Cybertron's organic core. We got to do something.
I find that interesting. It doesn't just change what they shoot, it changes everything that's connected to.
Well, and we found out in the last episode that it's weirdly like contagious. Because remember, like
Whenever it's
Blackarachnia,
touching,
Blackarachnia got quote unquote infected
the
by
more
touching Night Scream.
right,
which I
the
found
more
was
of
weird.
I forgot about that. Yeah, so if they were shot by this, all that would happen is they would turn kind of like feral for a while.
They turn feral and then go insane and die because
But they wouldn't die right away from getting shot with the Sigma lasers.
No.
Okay. So the more plant life that engulfs the planet,
The tower.
the more the more dangerous it is that the whole organic plant structure would get infected.
Well,
I don't know.
see, if it spreads throughout the entire, and what it's doing here is it's spreading down the vine.
Where it came
essentially.
from
where
the
it came from.
well, where they were
And-
gardening.
And what they're concerned about is that it's going to spread like right down to the planet's organic core and completely like destroy all hopes of restoring organic life
Right.
to planet Megatron.
And then we find out that Cheetor can fly or glide with his blades in front of him, like wings.
Yeah, one of our listeners pointed that out on in the comments of a recent episode of this show.
Good eye. They did that, like Cheetor can glide.
Yeah.
Wild. Yeah, and they fly
Shout
down.
out to that guy. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, good eye. I just noticed it now. It's probably past episodes where he's gliding around. And
So Gary
Primal's
Primal
there, and
is
he's like,
"No."
Cheetor, my boy, because they're not there. And they come back and they're like, Oh man, there's an Optimus face here where the camera zooms in and he's like,
Oh, I know. I was probably gonna make that the art for this episode.
with his blue tongue. And basically they're like, no, and it's up to Primal, and he starts going ape shit on the vines, ripping them off so that it disconnects the techno parts from the core. He's trying to save the planet. And what I thought was going to happen is he was going to become infected.
I thought that too.
And it makes you believe it. And Cheetor's like, no, Optimus, you can't. It'll infect you. And the way the camera angle is, and it leads
today,
in the blue,
son.
it makes you think that he is, and that just shows him standing there.
Yeah.
Like a boss. And he's like, no problem. And he single-handedly like defeated like the beanstalk.
That's why I'm in charge, cat boy.
Don't you forget it, bitch. And he's like, you kids, you all did bad. Blackarachnia, you know what you did. You went to go blah blah blah, convert the enemy, blah 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 on your own. Rattrap, you disobeyed a direct order, and you helped Blackarachnia and didn't say anything about her leaving. Cheetor, I left you in charge, and you like grew Jack in the giant beanstalk.
Yeah.
You're all grounded. Get the fuck out of here. Go to your caves.
Go to your caves. No PlayStation for you for the next week.
And it's been established that the Maximals have a PlayStation and the Predacons had an Xbox.
The Predacons had an N64. The Maximals have a PlayStation.
Oh, PlayStation 1, right?
Yeah. So then we cut back to Megatron and Guilty Spark, and Megatron is like, yes, it seems I underestimated these organics. Diagnostic drone, fit the key to Vector Sigma onto every Viacon and go hog wild. And Guilty Spark, like, with Tank Knox talking through him, is like, sir, might I suggest that you only affix the keys to Vector Sigma onto your tank drones, which you have direct and 100% control over, lest your two remaining Viacon drones become ambitious and decide to betray you. And Megatron's like, excellent point. Let it be done. Yes. And then
I love your Guilty Spark, like fucking hoity-toity British accent.
And then we cut back. We cut to Tank Knox like monologuing to himself as he's looking at the key to Vector Sigma, and he's just like, well, Megatron took the bait. Looks like I've got a whole tank army fixed with plenty of keys just in case I lose mine. Woo!
My pawns are poised to destroy one another. Just gotta crack open a beer, sit back, and watch the fireworks. And it shows a little 3D like vector image of Megatron and Gary Primal like spinning and facing each other. And I'm like, you didn't do anything this episode. I guess he did. He introduced the Sigma keys.
And just in case I happen to lose my key I got here to my Ford F-150, well, I got a whole army of tank drones now to drive me home.
And I can shoot that Megatron guy with these anytime I want. So it's time to hide in the shadows and Assassin's Creed these bitches. And indeed, he seems...
Might need to get out the whiskey for this one.
Yeah, so I like that. I like that. That's...
Yeah, he's manipulating
There's
shit.
a shadow... There's
a shadow
which is
broker,
usually Megatron's like deal. Like things aren't as they seem, right?
Yeah.
And so it's curious. I like it.
So that's the end of the episode. Well, Here on Too Much Energon, we rate episodes of Beast Wars, Beast Machines, even Beast Wars Japanese anime movies, and even Beast Wars comic books on the Too Much Energon scale, which ranges from not enough Energon to a sufficient amount of Energon to too much Energon. It's basically bad, okay, good.
Yeah.
NeoCal, what are you rating episode 12 of Beast Machines, The Catalyst?
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
What propels it is one thing. What propels it from a sufficient amount of Energon to too much Energon is the scene with Silverbolt and Waspinator and Blackarachnia. And she could have just been like a side character in that, but like her reactions to everything is she's become a very good character, and that all the dialogue, the writing, oh, most venomous of in the your venom infects my heart, great blah blah blah, where like Silverbolt's like compliments are kind of like spider based.
Chickbot not go steady with Waspinator?
And like the idea of like a Waspinator thinking there's a love triangle when there isn't. Oh, I don't know if we yachted over it. The Sigma blasts from the drones turned Waspinator back to Thrust and Silverbolt back to Jetstorm.
Right. I thought it
and
just,
they don't seem to remember.
I thought it just wore off, but
Oh, they
You're
were
probably
shot.
right.
They were
Yeah,
shot by
yeah.
the lasers and fell to the ground, and then like the goo kind of like receded and went away, and they woke up and they didn't have their memory. But that scene made it too much Energon to me. Otherwise, there's just a lot happening, and it's wacky, and it doesn't explain it, and they're riding a vine. But like that scene, everything about it. Everything about that. I wish the whole episode was that.
I'm with you. Listeners, I have a bit of a confession to make. I kind of cheated on the podcast a little bit.
Yeah.
So we typically watch these one at a time, or sometimes two or three at a time, depending on what we're reviewing the week. I watched this episode a couple of weeks ago for the first time and got so compelled that I ended up binging, finishing season 1, and then the end of season 1. I was like, fuck it, I need to see more. And I ended up watching all the way to, I think, like episode 5 of season 2. So,
and this was the one that I could see that.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? I want to keep watching. Yeah.
Yeah, I became very compelled from this episode. And yeah, the whole bit with Waspinator and Silverbolt, and yeah, it's too much Energon from me.
Oh, there we go. I wasn't sure how you'd feel about this one. And
no,
again,
I dug it.
When I was a kid,
the vine shit's weird, but
when I was a kid, I didn't like Silverbolt. And then when I was an adult, I was like, oh, Silverbolt's so tiresome. But now that I realize that Silverbolt is supposed to be a joke, he's grown on me. Doing like hosting Too Much Energon with you, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I like him. So characters that I didn't like, they ended up growing on me. Or characters that I thought were just kind of boring, I started appreciating more.
That's me with Rhinox.
Scorponok was just a meh Predacon when I was a kid. Sometimes he invented things, but like rewatching it with you, maybe it's just because of the voices, I don't know. But I was like, man, I'm liking all these characters.
Yeah.
Still didn't get the Cheetor and Blackarachnia love arc though.
That was kind of just dropped in season 3. It was introduced for a few episodes and then kind of just dropped like a bag of hammers.
No, we need another filler episode with Rampage and Depth Charge. Forever salty. Anyways, that's
season 1 of Beast Wars, still best Beast Wars.
Yeah.
Prove me wrong. At me on Twitter.
Fight us.
At Too Much Energon.
Word duel us.
Anyway, that's been episode 63 of Too Much Energon. Best way to support the show is go to Patreon. Patreon.com/lasercomb. LAZORCOMB. Starting at the $5 and up tier, you get hours every week of preamble audio where we kind of shoot the shit just before we actually start
Share
doing
way too much.
yeah, talk about life, the universe, and everything before we start doing the shows proper. You also get if you also get our monthly Too Much Energon spin-off show, Too Much Galavar, where we talk about the monthly 2021 IDW Beast Wars ongoing comic book, one issue at a time. There's a few
Spoilers,
episodes
it's
of that
good.
out. Yeah,
Like it. We like it.
it's
We
definitely improved.
We what's the term? Pull it we rake it over the coals on our first review, but it quickly gets good.
It gets a lot better. And you also get our monthly commentary track where we watch a movie and talk about it. There's a few episodes of that out now, so go check that out. There's also a $10 tier, which gets you our weekly news and current events show, Lasercomb Tonight. It also grants you the ability for our other podcast, the Lasercomb podcast, where we watch a random episode of a classic TV show. It gives you the ability to pick a show for us to watch. And it can be anything, for better or worse. Sometimes it's been better, sometimes it's been worse. So, and there's a $25 tier as well, which gets you all of that plus a t-shirt. So, patreon.com/lasercomb. Go to facebook.com/too-much-energon for the social media hub of this show, or facebook.com/lasercomb, which is the central hub of all of the shows that we do. And you can follow me on Twitter at Lasercomb, or you can follow the show proper on Twitter at Too Much Energon. Cal, you have Twitter as well, yes?
Oh, yes. If you want. You know what's weird? My Twitter was mostly wholesome all the way up until I started drawing thick hexadecimal. And then I'm like, fucking, I'm making my profile 18 plus. So it's like pictures of like flowers, wholesome memes or whatever. And then just like fully like fetish, like fishnets, stockings, gigantic bosomy, like hexadecimal from the TV show Reboot. And you draw what you like, right? And so I made my profile 18 plus, and if you like wholesome memes, and I guess I'm good. Blackarachnia might be next. I'm a terrible artist, but
well,
I'm enjoying it.
I mentioned a FAP-worthy picture of two versions of Blackarachnia. If I can find it, I will tweet it out on the main Too Much Energon.
Please
account.
do.
I don't know who the artist is, unfortunately, so I can't credit them.
I might be able to track them down through reverse image searching if you share me.
So I will definitely note that when I tweet it out. So yeah,
two versions.
Yeah,
two?
like I mentioned, it's season 1 Beast Wars Blackarachnia and Transformers animated Blackarachnia.
Oh,
embracing each other very
I didn't even say what my Twitter was. It's NeoCal.
Oh, right. Neo_Cal
with a K. He gets the same. Yeah.
We will be back next week with episode 64 of Too Much Energon, where we will be talking about the 13th and final episode of season 1 of Beast Machines, End of the Line.
Oh, we're on the final one? Yep, we are. 13.
Incidentally, there was a song by a group, an industrial, it's not even a group, it's just one dude, but called Pain. And they had a song that actually also came out in 1999 on their on his sophomore album Rebirth. It's also called End of the Line. You might hear that in next week's episode of the podcast.
Oh shit.
that about does it for this week. I think we're gonna
Yeah. We
jump in the Autobot shuttle and fly
we
back
come from
to
the land down under, and
get some Vegemite sandwiches on the way. So
better take cover.
I have been one of your hosts, Christopher Siege.
And I'm NeoCal.
And until next week, I am transformed.
I am transformed? Super transformed. Oh, I'm so transformed.